For thousands of years, long before the Spanish conquest of the Americas, the development of Mexico has been directly linked to the cultivation and consumption of corn. 64-year-old Tomás Villanueva, whose ancestors created and have protected native corn for centuries, understands that history intimately. He knows that Mexico is the birthplace of corn. Villanueva brings us to a traditional Mexican cornfield known as a milpa. His ancestors were among the first people on earth to cultivate this essential grain.
For Mexican families, to have corn is to have food security and not depend on others. In this sense, we are rich if we do not have to buy our food.
Tomás Villanueva knows about the Mexican president's recent declaration announcing a gradual ban on imports of genetically modified yellow corn and agricultural products treated with glyphosate, a herbicide the World Health Organization said was probably carcinogenic to humans. The U.S. government said that there were no risks if used as recommended, but many Mexican farmers remain concerned.
It is very important in Mexico that we prohibit the introduction of transgenics. Other governments used to give those seeds to us, and because the peasant farmers want higher productivity, they believed such propaganda.
Lunchtime, and Tomás brings us to his home. He and his family show us how their ancestors prepared special meals, which always included native corn. In late December 2020, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador declared that Mexico will stop importing genetically modified sweet yellow corn. It comes mainly from the United States.
In a globalized world, we can buy the kind of corn used in other countries. It's much cheaper. That was the pretext. But no, we must produce our own corn and other products like rice and beans. We must and will be self-sufficient.
The way we have been doing things.
Dr. Alma Pinedo is a leading biologist in Mexico. Her research team found traces of genetically modified corn genes in Mexican fields. She is also concerned about glyphosate.
And glyphosate is a herbicide, it's a broad-spectrum herbicide that has been shown to produce different type of metabolic syndromes, and it has been also associated with cancer in animals. So the presence of this herbicide in food that we eat every day or every other day is problematic. Plant genetic scientists, what you need.
She says the import ban makes sense because the main source of yellow corn that Mexico imports comes from the U.S., where the majority of corn is GMO. Dr. Pinedo and other researchers agree the most consistent defenders of Mexico's ancient culture of corn have been the country's small-scale producers of native corn varieties.
We have as many types of native corn types as the number of indigenous groups in Mexico, but our way of producing corn has been mostly forgotten by the youth and the entire outside world. People here consume this food, so it should be what they defend most.
We are invited to join Tomás and his family for a special meal, nopal cactus in mole sauce, and at the center of the table, homemade corn tortillas. In this part of Mexico alone, there are more than 50 different types of corn used to make homemade corn tortillas, an essential food for every Mexican family. For these families, their efforts to protect native corn varieties is directly linked to their nation's ability to become self-sufficient producers of their main source of nutrition. Franc Contreras, CGTN, Tepetlixpa, Mexico.